All right, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to our second session for today. And insyaAllah, suka cita dimaklumkan, our academic assessment and evaluation division with a collaboration CG Alternative Assessment and e-portfolio, bringing to you our second topic of today. We are talking about positioning graduate employability through digital portfolio, and Alhamdulillah, together with us, I have three gentlemen, all right, from a different, what we call, from a different field and expertise. And I guess that all of you can benefit from our speakers for today, our panelists for today. And inshallah, I hope that each of you stay with us. Boleh ajak ramai-ramai kawan-kawan yang berada di luar sana untuk bersama-sama dengan YouTube BPPA. Dan of course, yes, our topic for today is very interesting because we are talking about the graduate employability and how does the e-portfolio become so important to address all of this issue. And I know and I believe that most of us are very concerned about our student employability because of now we are in the era of pandemics, we are in the era of COVID-19, and of course it will give us a different dimension as before. And I believe that most of you maybe know that the importance of e-portfolio, and I think that the use of e-portfolio, maybe some of the fields think that is quite new, but some of the other field maybe is something that familiar to them. So before we start, I have three panelists. Okay, we have a Mr. Ryan. Okay, as a head of public sector Malaysia for LinkedIn. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
I am good, Dr. Shapshal.
All right. Okay, great, Ryan. For your information, Ryan is a Malaysian who are based at currently at Singapore. And for your information, LinkedIn is such a big company, all right? And I think that LinkedIn is the largest professional network, nearly about 756 million user, and more than 200 countries and territories worldwide. So I think that Mr. Raya will share lots of us about the LinkedIn. And I think that the vision of LinkedIn is actually to address on the create economic opportunity for the members and of the global workforce. I think that we will listen more from Ryan after this. And we have our second panelist, all right, Mr. Irwan, is a co-founder for the R&D studio in 2011. And I think that when I read your profile, it was tremendous because of you are the award winning for the content development studio based in Malaysia. You also produce television series, telemovies, short films, documentaries, music, video, commercial for the partners such Disney, Warner Media, Tokyo Broadcasting System, Astro, Primeworks, RTM, and many more. So I think that is quite it's quite full in my mouth to say everything. And we also have my friends, Mr. Nazrul, okay. One of the head of TalentCorp from TalentCorp, and I think that Mr. Nazrul worked closely and collaboratively with the key stakeholder across government, industry, academia, to develop and execute a demand-driven talent solution to meet the current and future talent, the needs of the country. I think that most of us, I think that most of the university quite familiar with the TalentCorp, and I think that most of the data, the input came from the TalentCorp. And I think that we have three great speakers. Each of them look very smart. Okay, so I think that inshallah, without further ado, all right, I think that because of every of the panelists have their own strength and whatnot, but I just want to open up to all the panelists. When we talk about e-portfolio, I think that each of the panelists have a different definition about e-portfolio. Can Mr. Ryan share with us how do you see the potential of e-portfolio and how you define the portfolio in your perspective?
Okay, sure, Dr. Shamsul. Thanks for asking that question. So this is my personal take on e-portfolio, right? Not so much of a LinkedIn take. So my personal take of e-portfolio is your profile on the internet, right? So essentially, it is what people can see or can understand about you yourself based on what they can Google on the internet, for example. So it can be either your Facebook, it can be your LinkedIn profile, can be even your IG to a certain extent, for example. But when we talk about professional portfolio, or in LinkedIn, we call it professional profile, digital profile, that's when I think LinkedIn plays an important part in allowing our members to showcase their professional branding, to tell their unique story, and also to have what we call some sort of a live resume, where it's a live document that you can update as you progress in your professional career, allowing you to tell not just your educational background, but also your professional achievements once you have entered into the workforce. And of course, apart from that, it's not just like a resume where you talk about yourself, allowing you to also network with other people, right? Because based on your profile, you would then be able to showcase what are the things that you're passionate about, what are your areas of interest or expertise, and that's when you can start to build your circle of connection and also your network from there. So I think some people say that is very similar to resume, but I beg to differ. So that's my take on that.
Okay, great. So I think Mr. Ryan already gave us some kind of information about the e-portfolio. How about Mr. Irwan? So how do you define e-portfolio in your perspective?
Can I answer what Ryan said?
Yep. Yes, can. No problem.
Yeah. Okay. So I studied architecture in university, and at that time, portfolio was this big A1 size bags that you bring your drawings around. And as you know, as technology has improved, as time goes on, that portfolio has changed to more in a digital format. People used to bring laptops and iPads to show me when I interview people, and now people just give links. So it's from atoms to bits. Now it's bits. All information's in the cloud. All information, and I prefer that actually to have things online, so you don't waste paper. You don't waste. Don't print your CV to me. I can look at it online. So things that you have done for the creative industry, it's your drawings, your pictures that you've taken, your models, and all those things. So for an employer in the creative industry, those are the things I want to see inside your portfolio. And just adding into what Ryan mentioned about having not just those sort of things, but also a presence online. So I can see you have 1,000 fans, then I know you're good. You have 10,000 fans, oh, I know you're really good. And that is very important when we make decisions to hire you or not.
So it was very, there is a significant impact between the transition from the traditional portfolio into the new forms of e-portfolio. So, Mr. Nazrul, what your point about this? How do you see the e-portfolio from the perspective of TalentCorp?
Basically, Ryan and Irwan cover everything already. I would say that in short that e-portfolio or digital portfolio is like a professional story of an individual. So basically, it's a narrative and it's a reflection of what you are doing in your professional space. And for me, the portfolio actually differentiate the wannabes and the real deal. Because, for example, in your resume, you might state that you are a good communicator, but that might not be the real case. But within your e-portfolio, you can attach that you are a speaker in a local event, for example, and you speak eloquently. So that's actually what differentiate, like Ryan said just now, what differentiate a normal CV or resume and digital portfolio. So in short, it's your professional story and it's a proof of what you are stating in your CV.
All right, okay, great. But boleh tak kalau saya kata, if let's say that you want to show some kind of, you want to be brag, you want to be show off kind of, but just to give the impression, what do you think about it? You want to be brag and then just want to show off and then just to give the first impression, yeah.
For me, dia macam ni kalau nak brag pun make sure betul-betul ada benda tu.
Alright.
So yang tu yang,
Okay.
I mean you must have very good self-awareness. You must really understand what you have and what you want to show on your e-portfolio. And because at the end of the day, experienced employers or experienced recruiters, they can easily differentiate the wannabe and the real deal.
Yeah, right.
Whether this is just for branding purpose or whether you really have what you are portraying on your portfolio.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Ryan. So, I know that the LinkedIn give a lot of effort on helping on bridging the students with the industry and whatnot. So, how does the LinkedIn support our fresh graduates and to enter the job market? So maybe you can share with us your maybe your business model, your ecosystem on helping our fresh graduates to get hired by the industry.
Yeah, sure. So actually, when I ask a lot of people have asked me instead, like, how do LinkedIn make money? What is our business model? And of course, when I throw back the question to them, like, what do you understand about LinkedIn? They say that LinkedIn is a job portal. Okay lah, betul lah separuh tu, but not 100%, right? Because we are much more than that. It's not just a job portal, but we are a professional network. Like what Dr. Shamso has mentioned just now, LinkedIn today we have about 770 million members worldwide. And we are the world's largest professional network. In Malaysia alone, I think we have about 5 million plus members, which represent, Nazrul, feel free to correct me, I think about 1/3 of the workforce population in Malaysia, because I think Malaysia have about 15 to 16 million.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So it's a large representation. And what LinkedIn has done tremendously in this area, which I'm proud of, is that we have allowed students an equal opportunity to showcase their personal branding, to tell their story even before they have graduated. So a lot of people have the conception that once I am ready to look for a job, once I want to enter the workforce, barulah I create a LinkedIn profile, which is not true. By right, you should create a LinkedIn profile even when you enter the first year in university or colleges, for example. So that's when you started to build your connection, you started to build your network. And if you have certain academic or even co-curricular achievements while you're studying, you can showcase that on LinkedIn as well. I've seen a lot of great student profiles where they have showcased that very well on their profile, and they have built a personal branding for themselves that entice the future employers to reach out to them, right? To ask them that, hey, when are you graduating? And then we are interested to interview you, for example. So I would say in that sense, LinkedIn has sort of leveled the playing field a bit. It's about last time, if you look at the traditional workplace or work ecosystem, fresh grad always at a disadvantage, because when you want to apply for job, employer will tell you that you do not have industry experience, right? And if you say that I have this or that, there's no way for you to prove that. But LinkedIn, if you have a LinkedIn profile and you have already built your LinkedIn profile for a long time, that's when you can showcase your LinkedIn profile to them to sort of prove, or what Nazro has mentioned just now. You can brag, but ensure that you have the proof to back that up. So LinkedIn, in a way, provides students with that opportunity to back that up. So that's one. Secondly, LinkedIn also is a network where you can connect to mentors or connect to network, because you can ask for career advice, not just within your own personal connection, but outside of your traditional connection network as well. So that's when you can, sometimes you can even reach out to people in a company that you want to work for. For example, let's say I'm studying engineering, IT engineering right now, and I aspire to join maybe Google or Facebook when I graduated. So even before I graduated, on LinkedIn, I can research this company. I can find out siapa yang kerja kat situ, and then maybe I send a connection request to him or her, and then ask him about how is it like working in Google? How do you think my skill set right now can fit a role in your company? And then you build the personal connection from there. And then once you're ready, maybe you can ask this person to refer you into that company as well. So in that sense, there's a lot of things that we have done to help students to gain all this necessary access to be employed.
Great. I think that Mr. Ryan, after maybe you can show us maybe some of figures or data, I think related to the LinkedIn. But Mr. Irwan, what is your opinion when what is the best practice to bridging the e-portfolio between the industry and also the university? So I think that the university have their own expectation, but same goes with the industry also have their own expectation. And how can we bridge the gap? So I think this is very important because of somehow or other for the academic side, we just focus on our outcome, how to make sure that the student fulfill all the outcome. But what is actually the industry expect from the graduates? So maybe Mr. Irwan boleh berikan sedikit pandangan berkaitan hal tersebut.
Okay. For universities, I mean, your main thing is to prepare students for employment. So for the easy answer to that question is for you guys to talk to industry practitioners. You ask them about what projects they're working on, what projects, what sort of skill set that you require, and all those things. But that is just one thing that you can do. You can also do research, look at trends, look at box office, look at, in 2019, just before the pandemic, 3 local animated films made close to 90 million in the box office. It's Upin Ipin, Bobo Boy 2, and Agent Ali. Obviously, because they made money, there's going to be another Upin Ipin, there's going to be another Agent Ali, there's going to be another Bobo Boy movie. So then you know that these guys are working on these movies. They will need the expertise to produce all these things. They will need students, they will need staff, and you know that these people are going to get hired. So now you know that those movies are 3D, and you know that 3D skill sets is going to be required in the future. Also, look at technology. For example, we just completed a short film, a 3D animated short film using Unreal technology. So Unreal is a game engine. That's from another industry, but because Unreal Engine has made animation easier for us, so we've used it. Our partners have used Unreal. And look at Mandalorian. It was shot. The backgrounds were using Unreal technology. So you know that this sort of technology is very few projects are doing it now, but there's going to be more in the future. So you can prepare your students to learn Unreal Engine, even though that's not traditional animation, but you can kind of see in the future that there is a technology that will help animation apart from the 3D Max, apart from the all those software that you're learning now. And the other thing that you need to not forget as well is like basic skills. If in the animation industry or design, you have to go back to basics. You need to prepare students with drawing skills, with making things with their hands, doing modeling, sculpting, stop motion in animation, because these basics will provide a foundation for other skill sets. If you can do something with your hands, you can do something on the computer. So I studied architecture, as I mentioned before, and the first things we learned weren't materials, design, or all these things. The first thing we learned was drawing. We had to draw things. We did figure drawing. We did drawings of fruits. We did drawings of things that we can see, observation, and we made models. It's later that you learn the things that you're supposed to learn. So the other thing that you also need to bridge as well, consider as well, is like soft skills for your students. These soft skills is as broad as critical thinking. We need students which can think, not just regurgitate, not just do what they know, what they learn. We need students who can be smart, who knows, who's like they can think about their work. They can think about what is it that they're doing. We need students that can present well, can talk well, because a lot of these students, especially in the creative industry, because there is an inward thing. They just like to create. They don't like to talk about it. But talking about your work is important. Talking about your work when you present internally to clients and everything. So that's important. And we also need something which I think is very sorely lacking in Malaysia. We need creatively brave people. So we don't want people who's just playing it safe, doing something that they know what to do. Everybody is doing. We want somebody who experiments, who does something outside the box. And if you can prepare all these things in students, they're very employable.
A quite interesting point because of is remind me back on 2016 when I attend one conference from Cisco. The guy names Marcus. He said exactly what you said. He said that the point number one is you need to have the basic knowledge, basic skills. Number two, he said that you need to have the soft skill, and the most important part is the interactive skill, in which you need to have a very good skill set on writing and speaking. So what have you highlight by Mr. Irwan is it seems mengingatkan saya kepada kawan saya market tersebut. So I think that Cik Nazrul, because of we are talking about you are the organization who are looking at the critical occupation list, right? So you also looking at what is the best skill set and what is the best attribute that should we address in our curriculum and whatnot. So how does you get all this information, and how can you profile every each of the attributes based at your office?
Basically, we've been developing COL on a yearly basis in 2015, working closely with almost, I think, 5,000 over employers across sectors to understand what are the most sought after but hard to fill jobs. And then within that report, we also identify what are the key factors, and that include lack in certain skill set, for example. So that's how we work on COL. And for the next 5 years, we are even moving into a bigger framework of skill set. We call it myNSR, or Malaysia National Skills Registry. We just had a workshop last week with the like of ILO, and then ONET. Basically, ONET is skills registry in US. So we invited them to learn from them. And then also from Singapore to learn about Singapore Skills Registry. And the whole idea is actually to collate all the information that we have within the country, because this is also now currently being run by a number of organizations, including HRD Corp, Perkeso, JPK, Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran. So now the next 5 years will be consolidating all the input, and then we'll have a skills registry, which we hope will be good reference document or reference point for the industry and academia. So coming back to your question, how actually student can apply this information, and it's not limited to COL or myNSR, because there are a lot of information available in the market, and there are a lot of demand data that you can derive from. I mean, even when you Google it, you can derive demand information from the industry. What you need to do now is actually to map it with what you have and ensure that the thing that you want to put in your portfolio actually reflect what is demanded by the industry. Example, if you want to go into creative industry like Cik Irwan mentioned just now, I mean, show that you good in apa nama tadi, 3D Max
Yeah, 3D
3D Max.
software
Yeah,
lah.
3D.
Yeah.
3D Max is software kan. So you know that employer within this sector or specific area require that you have a skill set within that space. So within your digital portfolio, you must show that you are able to do this. You must attach the project where you are working on and you are using this software, for example. Same goes to other programming language. For example, if you are the company require you to be good in Python, you maybe need to include some project that you show that you are able actually to code using Python. So I think that's how you use this information. Basically, at the end of the day, understanding of what is demanded by the market is important, but you must ensure that you will map it with what you have and prove to the future employer that this is your capability. And I believe that if you have that, you meet the demand. That's how actually the magic works lah. Then
Along the
inshallah,
line, Cik
you gain
Nazrul,
employment. Yeah.
yeah, along the line, Cik
Mm.
Nazrul, I think that TalentCorp also working on the next project. So I think that maybe you can share with us the next projects.
Basically, how we project mynext, now it's called mynext. We are going to go into
mynext, all right,
2.0
okay.
version, mynext. So mynext is actually a supplement to portfolio. mynext initially started as a profiling tool based on a number of profiling module, and among others is we use a Holland model or Isaac to actually map when the type of job suitable to a particular person. So what we can do is actually, as I said earlier, that you need to have a very good self-awareness. You need to know your strength, and you need to know your value, your interest, and preference. So once you understand the value, interest, and preference, that's how you map it again, what you learn in university. So mynet will serve as the starting point for you to have good self-awareness. But it doesn't stop there, because having a good self-awareness won't work if you don't understand, if you don't have market awareness, if you don't understand what is actually demanded by the industry. So basically, it's a mapping between self-awareness and market awareness. So you can use mynext as one of the tool actually to understand yourself better and ensure that tie that to the input you can get from document like COL, for example, to understand the demand, and then match these two information and create a wonderful or powerful branding via e-portfolio.
All right, understood. Maybe Mr. Ryan, you want to top up based on the Mr. Nazrul? Unmute. Mr. Ryan, unmute. Right, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. So since we are on the topic of skills, this is something that I'm very interested about. So for the past, I think at least 5 years, we have been telling employers and institutions of higher learnings to focus on finding employees and also creating career pathways for students through a skills lens. Traditionally, a lot of employers and even universities were looking through a job title or industry lens. But you see, right now, what we have understand from the pandemic is that a lot of the job has been lost as a result of economic downturn. Tetapi, a lot of people have moved to a different industry by having a specific core skills, and also if let's say they wanted to join one industry to another. And then they found out that I cannot join because of certain skills mismatched there. Then we are able to identify that, and we are able to provide them the opportunity to upskill accordingly, or the right platform to learn the skills that is required. They are actually able to move to a new job within a matter of months. And that is important. And I applaud TalentCorp for having the initiative to come up with the National Skills Registry. I remember a few years ago, so on LinkedIn, we have been working very closely with TalentCorp in this aspect as well. Even on COL, the annual report, I think LinkedIn data has been used to validate, not directly, but to validate some of the data that they have heard from the industry. So we have been trying to come up with the initiative to look at how we can use skills as a key determiner of talents, and how we can identify the skills so that we are able to understand what is the demands going to be in the next few months or next few years or so, how we can move downstream, inform university how you can enhance your curriculum by ensuring students have all these skills, so that by the time 3 years later down the road, by the time they graduated, they will have the skills necessary or required by the industry. I just want to share one screen, if let's say I can.
Okay, great. Because we always have an issue on mismatching on the skill set. So I think that with your input, I think that maybe we can understand better on how to get the real skill set for our students, especially when we deal with the pandemic now.
Yeah.
Right. Mr. Ryan, okay.
This is what I call the national dilemma, right? In Malaysia, we are having this. So we have about 400 plus thousand jobs that are available. At the same time, we have about close to 780,000 people who are unemployed. And if we look at the graduates, right, we have about 40,000 of them who remain unemployed 1 year after graduation. And why is this happening? Because when we ask the employers, when we look at the data, it's usually about a skills mismatch. And the majority of the skills gap happens because of soft skills. So employers will say that, yeah, the students have all the tech skills that are necessary, tetapi when it comes to interview, they do not know how to communicate. They do not know how to showcase their skills. And that is a one huge issue that we are facing. And how LinkedIn can help in this is because essentially we have all the data that will allow government agencies like TalentCorp or even universities like UiTM to look into how many members are there, first of all. Secondly, how many companies. So you have both the demand and also the supply side of the talent force. And then at the same time, we categorize each member's skill into unique skills taxonomy. We have 33,000 skills in Malaysia. Globally, we have identified about 36,000 skills. And then we also have all the universities, the colleges, the school to form the other part of the ecosystem as well. And then, of course, not to forget, the jobs that are posted on LinkedIn will inform us what is the demand, what is the trend, what is the future of work, etc. So all this will actually help us to understand data, for example, something like this. So we look at the high level in Malaysia, what are the most common skills that are required across all the industry, all the jobs. We can see that engineering, finance, AutoCAD, Adobe, manufacturing, data analysis, sales management, analytical skills, HR, and banking. These are the top skills, common one that are required. However, to concur with what Nazro and also A1 has shared just now, if you see here, the fastest growing skills, highly in demand, shooting up right now. Some of them are tech skills like Python programming language, right? And then you also have video editing skills, because a lot of companies are moving towards digital marketing. So they need people who have video editing skill. At the same time, we're also seeing some soft skills here. So this is important. So I'm interested, like, why Bahasa Malaysia is increasing.
Oh, why Bahasa Malaysia, Ryan? Quite
Exactly.
interesting, yes.
So my take is that a lot of the traditional business have no choice due to the pandemic. They have to move to a more digital platform to connect with the customers. And in order to do that, they will require people who are proficient, fasih in Bahasa Malaysia, either in oral or in writing, to help them with the marketing, to help them with sales, etc., so that they can connect with the customer base on digital platform. And this is why they have also requested their employees to upskill themselves. So last time, if you know very basic Bahasa is fine, but now we want you to be more proficient in them so that we can connect better, we can write better content, copywriting, so that we can connect better with the customers. And then last but not least, in the top 10 list, you can see presentation skills. So like what A1 has said just now, some people are very good in designing, but when it comes to explaining your work, presenting your work, that's where they're lacking. So no matter how good you are in your job, if let's say you're the best programmer in Malaysia, but you do not know how to present your work, then it puts you at a major disadvantage. So I think based on this general data that we are seeing, I think a lot of people understand that hard skills or technical skills are very important because it forms the foundational basis of how you can perform a job very well. At the same time, you should also understand that soft skills are the one that is even more important because no matter what industry revolution, again, soft skills always remain as the most in-demand skills. Communication, critical thinking, creative thinking, collaboration, stuff like that. So I think this is something that I just wanted to share as part of
All right.
this.
Okay. Interesting. Maybe Encik Ron, you want to top up something based on the mismatching on the skill set?
Yeah. Just to share a bit lah. Our company during this studio, we're most of us are from outside the industry. I studied architecture. My partner studied law. We have somebody who studied medicine. We have electronic engineer. We have 2 software programmers. We have graphic designers, and we're all making film and animation. So it doesn't matter for creative lah, for the creative industry. It doesn't matter, you know, if you studied whatever you studied, but if the passion is there and you can demonstrate via a portfolio or via, you know, a script that you wrote. You might study medicine, but you've written, you know, 10 short stories, 10 articles, and they are good. I'm hiring you because, you know, I don't look at what you studied. I don't look what's on your CV actually. In fact, I never look at CVs first. I look at portfolios first. So that means that portfolio is very, very important. I want to see what you can do. And if it's interesting, then I look at your CV. Then, oh, okay, 3.85 CGPA, which doesn't mean anything to me, but you know, oh, so you're smart. You know, you've been doing well in your studies.
So
But
sorry,
if your portfolio,
Mr. Junaidi. There are confusion between CV and portfolio, right? So I think that most of
yeah,
the student maybe they have some confusion about it. So maybe you
okay,
can
all right.
enlighten on it.
Okay, for CV that's your text, your writing, you know, born whenever, this is what you studied, your SPM, you receive 28 A's, you know, all those things which are, you know, what happened to you. When your portfolio is, for me in the creative industry, is, you know, the pictures, the movies, the videos that you've done, the photographs that you've taken. So that's a visual representation goes into the portfolio.
Okay, great. Because of
Yeah.
on
So
the perspective
yeah,
academic, right? On the perspective academic, we see that the e-portfolio can be a part of academic, non-academic, and the lifestyle. So I
yeah.
think that macam contoh industri kreatif ni, saya rasa the lifestyle tu is very important. Is it real? Adakah betul benda
It's not
tu?
like, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
lifestyle. It's more
Yeah.
of your creations, your work.
All right.
It's because that's your work, that's your job. When you join the company, you know, creating something. So the creative stuff is very important. For example, I look at your portfolio, if it's, you know, online or a video or whatever. I look for 10 seconds. If you don't catch my attention 10 seconds, then, you know, I'll move to the next one. So it's very, very important.
Okay. Mr. Ryan, I want to bring back to Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan, there are some kind of skeptical minds here that the LinkedIn is actually e-resume. So, so some of them say that this is the e-resume, and I hope that this resume can reach to the expected employee. So how can you what we call um, do some kind of clarification on this and to avoid the misconception to use the LinkedIn.
Okay, I think not just students have that misconception. I've spoken to a lot of even CEOs of companies where they have that misconception as well, and even sometimes academics. So, like the saying, picture speaks 1,000 words. Let me share my screen so that I can illustrate this better using my screen here. So profile versus resume, I think there are a few key differences, right? So on LinkedIn profile, what it does is that it helps you to speak to all potential employers instead of just one single employer. So last time when you have a CV, you print it out in A4 and then you mail it or you show it to a potential employer that you want to apply job for. But LinkedIn, because once you have built your profile is visible throughout the entire platform. So 700 million members potentially can view your profile. Okay, so you have much more of an eyeball there. Secondly, it goes into more detail with skills, projects, interest, certification, as more. And then, like what I mentioned just now, is a live document. So you can even put in like rich media, videos or images to showcase what you have done, right? I think in a way you show proof to what you claim yourself to be, right? So you can talk about skills or projects or interests or certain courses that you have attended. And because LinkedIn is also a social networking platform, you have this news feed, right? So you can write about your thoughts as well. So from there, people will also be able to understand what are your perspective, what are your train of thoughts, and it tells another different side of yours to the potential employers or even your network on LinkedIn. And of course, as a profile on LinkedIn, you will also be able to allow interaction with other professionals and even employers as well. So CV can't do that, right? Because CV is just one way. I'm providing information through a piece of paper. So apart from that, you can also give and take recommendations from people that you know. So people who can endorse your skills, be it your classmate, be it your lecturers, be it your internship employer, they can actually vouch for the skills or experience that you have on LinkedIn, and that helps to boost your credibility as well. Okay, and one of the things that we have done recently with LinkedIn is that not just allowing you to showcase sort of like your portfolio or rather your resume as well, you can also indicate that you're open to work. As you can see here, there's this green banner here called open to work. So for graduates who are ready to enter into employment, they can turn on this green button there to indicate that they have open to work. And what this will do on the other end is that for employers who are looking for specific skill set or talents that matches your criteria, when they view the search result, your profile will appear higher on the list because you have indicated as you are open to work. And then once they see that, they will click on your profile, they will read your profile, they will see what are the things that you have shared on your profile. And if they are convinced, they will then shortlist you or ask you for an interview. So these are some of the ways that we have introduced since the pandemic last year so that people can be more visible and then you can expose yourself to more career opportunities.
Okay, great. So far we have a 3 question from the chat from YouTube. So I think that I will like to open up to all the panelists. All right. One question from TSCT Haja Aznam. Question: beside portfolio that the student develop based on their project, does the industry accept industrial attachment as a working experience? Siapa nak jawab tu?
I can answer
Saya
that.
macam Mr. Irwan akan jawab tu.
Yeah.
Alright.
TS Hajar, I will answer your question. Yes. We accept practical students, and but we are very fussy. We are very picky on the types of practical students that join us. So we're a small company. There's only 15 of us in the company, and you know, to maximize their learning capabilities, before the pandemic, we attached to the students to somebody, and you know, they can learn and they can ask questions and they can learn from other people. So we're very mindful when a practical student is joining us. They have a very rounded education. They know not just animation. They can go join our shoots. They can learn writing. They can do, you know, they can learn video editing from our editors and stuff. So practical student is very important. And I think one of the issues for me personally is the length of doing your practicals. When I did architecture, my practicals was 1 year. And I could do, you know, I could design a building and I could be on site to see the start of construction. So I learned more. But if you're doing practicals for 3 months, there's not much that you can learn. And it's like a wasted opportunity for the students actually, and for us, because you know there's a lot of that we want to teach people, but there's not enough time. So it's important to have this attachment so that you know what, you know, real life is, because what you learn in university and what you learn during when you work is you know, might might be different. So, and for us, the practical students that we take in, we've taken some as our permanent staff. If we see that they're good, they fit into the company culture, then then you're hired.
All right. Okay, good point. Good point. So, Mr. Nazrul.
No, I just want to
This,
add.
yeah,
I just want to add to internship
yeah.
because we are
Okay.
a huge proponent for structured internship. In fact, we have a program called structured internship program where we are giving double tax incentive for employers who are hiring our intern. And the whole idea is actually internship is very, very important. Not so much about whether it's counted by employers or not, but getting them to be industry ready via internship is very, very important. And I do agree on the duration of the internship, like everyone said just now. So the duration that we are seeing now is, I think, around 4 months, 6 months, but 3 months is too short. But overall, the whole idea is actually to eventually advocate employers, actually just like employers like Irwan, actually to build a talent pipeline using internship strategy. So basically, you hire a good intern, develop them, and then assess them for the period of the internship, and eventually hire them as their first employment. And that's important because, as mentioned, the biggest challenge actually for the fresh graduate to get the first job, because technically speaking, they don't have the experience. So what we are pushing for, working closely with all universities, is also to actually inculcate the thinking of our students, actually to use internship as really an important strategy for them to obtain the first job. They need to plan for their internship to ensure that the employer that they want to do internship is the future employer that they intend to work with, basically. So to do this, you need to plan in advance, because I mean, or else you won't get the employers that you want to work with. And we are focusing on this because as of now, based on our structured internship program, or SIP we call it, data point last year, out of 100 students in Malaysia, about 25 to 26 people will get their first employment via internship. Comparatively, for matured countries in Europe and also in US, about 50%, means that every 10 intern, 5 will get their first job via internship. So we are thinking that if we are able to increase the number from 26% to at least 35 to 40%, that will be fantastic. Because again, coming back to the economic strata of our graduates also. For those in the lower economic strata, where they don't have the professional networking and professional exposure, I mean, they couldn't get it from the family. So using this platform is very important for them actually to push themselves and make them visible to the future employer. So we are pushing for this, and definitely internship plays an important part in improving the employability of our graduates. Yeah.
Nazrul, meaning that you have a very specific strategy on address on this issue, right? So, is it this strategy has been shared with the stakeholders, or how can we get this information? I think that most of the deans and also the director interested to know how can we use this opportunity and try to make sure that we can get benefit from what you said before. So how can we get all of this information?
Okay,
Yes.
interestingly, before SIP was more focused towards the employers. Basically, the incentive is given to the employers actually to encourage them to take more intern. That's the whole idea of it. But we feel that it's also important to connect the demand side and also the supply side. And that's the reason why we are integrating the structured internship program and mynext. So we have developed a module, we call it mynext internship. So eventually all the employers will also be into mynext and able actually to assess talent pool who are going into internship. And we will facilitate the tax incentive for SIP via mynext. So we are going to launch it somewhere in August or September latest. And then after that, we can have universities into the platform, definitely. we also have employers into the platform, plus the potential students who are going for internship placement. The whole idea is actually for us actually, I mean, just to share that our minister has mandated us to be the national internship agency. So yeah, the minister asked TalentCorp to focus on internship and ensure that we really capture all the internship placement via a single platform. And that's the whole idea of having it via a single platform under mynext, and then we will do assessment after the internship, means that the student will assess the companies. Basically, the intern will assess the companies, and also the company will also assess the intern. So we'll have a 360 assessment. We will know which company is doing the right thing or not first. And then we will also know what are the skills gap. So complementing input from LinkedIn, for example, I think that this will be a very good input for future myNSR. So that's the plan, and it's not just a plan. We are going to launch it in August or September, and definitely we will go down to universities and work closely with universities to ensure that you benefit from this initiative.
All right, very very good plan. And if you don't mind, Mr. Nazrul, I think I have saw your presentation on the next. If you don't mind to share with us, maybe after this, on the next project, maybe a little bit one on maybe on the outlook, maybe on something else. Do you have now? Is it you can share with us?
I'll share with you later.
Yeah, later. Okay. Mr. Ryan. There's one question I
Yes.
want to pick up here from one Zamani, one Zach. All right, to the panelists, how many employers today willing to accept digital portfolio as a proof of competency and required skill set for certain job requirement? So maybe you have data about this or something else you want to share.
So yeah, we do not have hard data on this because there's a lot of areas that we cannot track after the employers have called up the potential candidate for interview. So we can only track up to a certain touch point how many employers have viewed your profile, who have connected with you, who have actually sent email to you, etc. But whatever that's happening from interview process up to whether you get hired or not, we are not able to track. So we do not have the data to inform that. However, based on our understanding, traditionally, I think last time, if you talk about 5 years ago, not many employers are willing to do that, right? But recently, for these past 2 or 3 years, we have been seeing an upward tick based on just anecdotal or rather observation or survey by us to employers. And we have seen that more and more employers are willing to accept that. Sometimes not as just the only source of truth, but rather as a complementary. So they will take that as the first level of assessment or gauge to see your suitability. And if let's say they found out that they would like to understand a little bit more, then maybe they will ask for supporting document from you. But to act as a first layer of information, it serves its purpose because it can be easily downloadable from the profile on LinkedIn, and students can also easily just share with them the link to showcase the works that they have done. So I think in that sense, it serves its purpose. And what LinkedIn has also done at the same time is to add another layer of verification. So today, I think this started about a few months back. Today, if you go on LinkedIn and you have certain skill set in maybe digital or tech skills, you can actually take a skills assessment on LinkedIn, right? So once you have completed skills assessment, maybe for example, in Python, in programming, in C, in Adobe, for example, once you have completed this exam, it's a multiple choice question. Once you have completed, you will then be certified as you have completed this quiz. And I think it will be valid for a period of, I can't remember, maybe 1 year or more. I'll need to check on that. But you can definitely take a skills assessment and prove that you have actually gone through this assessment, and then you have gotten the confirmation from LinkedIn that you have done that. So in order to prevent people from cheating, if you fail this, you cannot retake that again and again. We will actually have a grace period of maybe 2 months, and we will actually encourage the students to go through LinkedIn learning courses that are relevant to these skills so that you can upskill first and then you try again maybe 2 months later. So these are some of the things that we have introduced to ensure that people are who they say they are on LinkedIn, and also to help the students to prove to the employers that they have these necessary skills that they say they are.
All right. Okay. Great. Because of that, I think that question also been raised by Khairul Nizam Zaini. Beside the possibility to the self-acclaimed achievement in your CV or resume or your portfolio, all right, how do you can ensure the credentials of the e-portfolio? I think that Mr. Raina has been addressed by the verification, but how do you see the potential of the blockchains? Yep, to verify, to authenticate everything that we did from our academic from our academic or maybe our continuous professional development. So maybe you can add some information about it.
So this is not my area of subject expertise. However, I can based on my limited knowledge, I think it has a potential, because if you understand a little bit about blockchain, we know that it's an online ledger that cannot be tampered with, right? So it has a high level of integrity, and if the data has been stored through blockchain, then it helps to provide a certain level of confidence to people who are viewing this data or accessing this data, and it also allows you to tell a more genuine story about yourself in terms of how you're accumulating all these skills, all these achievements, etc. So I think right now LinkedIn is still not on blockchain yet, but perhaps in the future it could be something that we might explore, given how widespread it might be in the potential future. But I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot about it, because I'm not really well versed in that. So that is based on my basic understanding. But I want to add another layer of that. The other aspect where you can get validation of the skills, or rather the credentials that you have, is to ask for recommendation on LinkedIn. Because on LinkedIn profile, you can actually ask for recommendation. So ask from people who you know, whom you have worked with, or who can vouch for your expertise, and ask them to write maybe just a short 1 to 2 paragraphs about how they can vouch for your experience, and that will add to that credibility.
I think that's under endorsement, right?
Correct.
So the people will click on your to endorse whether you are in that
So they
particular
can
skill.
endorse your skills.
Yeah.
They can write a paragraph about their recommendation of you as well.
Okay, I have one question from our audience. All right. For example, there's one question. For example, start international competition achievement, CSR activity, even assignment, what we have done in the classroom. Does it count as our creation and suitable to include in our e-portfolio? Nak bagi pada Cik Irwan lah kot. Mesti Irwan.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, from a creative punya point of view, when I look at portfolios, I really don't like to see class assignments, because when I see one class assignment, I've seen 10 class assignments. It's the same thing. So if you do like in animation, you do a walk cycle, you do a person walking, I've seen 200, 300 walk cycles. So, I don't want to see any more walk cycles. But what I want to see is do a catwalk cycle. Do something which is, that differentiates you from somebody else. Do like a robot with like 3 legs, walk cycle. Then I know that, oh, okay, so you're skillful, you're thinking out the box. But if you give me a bouncing ball that you did in class, I'll just close your portfolio and move on to the next one. But what I do look and what I'm impressed with is if you tell me that you've won an award, you've won the competition, doing something that is like, oh, okay, so you're good. You have this recognition. Or even if you say that, I teach design at the old folks home, then say, oh, cool, that is interesting. I want to know more about you. So the main thing that you have to do is to differentiate yourself. You cannot be the same as your 20 other classmates. If you are the same as the 20 other classmates, then you're not standing out. So you have to do things which make you pop out. Because I see a lot of portfolios, I see a lot of CVs. In a week I see like 5 to 10 portfolios, and if it doesn't jump out, then I would proceed looking at your other work.
Must be unique in a good way, right? So
Yeah.
right. Okay. I want to open this question to all the panelists. what do you think about our fresh graduate digital readiness? Is it they are ready now because of we know that they are using a lot of social media. They have a Twitter, they have a Facebook, they have Instagram and whatnot. And is it our students now is ready to handle all the digital elements? And we know that some of the social media uh, has been misused by the students, and how much this affect to their uh, chances and opportunity to get the job because of some of the students somehow they cannot control their emotion and they try to share something maybe not nice in their social media. And is it this give an effect to the students? Or and I want to get this opinion from you because of recently I think that most of the students easily be too emotional in social media. So I want to have the perspective from all the panelists about it. All right, it may be something related to the digital ethics, digital readiness or whatnot. So maybe.
I can start first on that. So I think generally on LinkedIn, we have seen that the majority, if not all of our members, are quite self-aware and self-policing when it comes to commenting. Katakanlah, if you compare LinkedIn and Facebook or maybe Twitter, for example, you will see that the comments on Facebook versus the comments on LinkedIn for the same post can be very different. Okay, sebab I think the main reason that people feel that Facebook is more of a personal space because you have your friends there, you have your family there, you tend to be more candid, you tend to be more open, and then you throw caution to the wind, and then you tend to comment based on emosi. Tetapi on LinkedIn, so far, generally, what we have seen so far is that people tend to be more professional there. Sebab their boss could be there, their colleague could be there, their lecturers could be there as well. So they tend to be more self-aware in that sense. Having said that, we have also seen comments where people have been very emotional in criticizing, right, when they post comments. I think it's fine because everyone have emotion and it's a good way for you to express your emotion. However, be mindful that be it on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, is about your professional, it's about your personal branding. Okay. And whatever that's on the internet, as they say, will forever live in the internet. Right. So when someone Google you, either your LinkedIn profile will appear first or your Facebook profile will appear first. And then they can actually see your activity. What are the things that you have commented? What are the things that you have shared? So in order not to portray a negative impression of yourself and to jeopardize your own personal branding, you can be honest and authentic in expressing your thought, but think of a way to communicate it better. Let's say you have seen a post posted by someone that you do not agree with, right? You can voice your disagreement, at the same time add another layer of maybe recommendation. That makes it, it's a critical feedback instead of Allah, no lah, this one is all, BS, maybe, for example. So it actually portrays a different perception of you. And I think back to your very first question, is our graduates digital ready? I think if you compare with the previous generation, today's generation are more tech savvy, right? They live in a world where digital social media are available everywhere. And even when they were born, they already are exposed to this. So definitely, yes. But when it comes to different aspect of technical and digital, I think there are a lot more that can be done to equip our younger generation to look into how they can perhaps embrace or upskill themselves in certain areas, not just on social media. Social media, I think they can do very well. Digital marketing, they can do very well. But certain nuances of like digital marketing, copywriting, presentation skill, creative thinking, stuff like that. These are the certain nuances that they need to upskill and also embrace the other parts of the future technology, for example, like drones, how you blockchain, for example. So I think holistically speaking, today's generation are much more digital ready, but it's a moving target. Today, you can say that you have known about 90% of them. 2 years down the road, the digital horizon opens up even bigger. So you have to continuously adopt a learning mindset, a growth mindset, and you have to know that you as a person is never a finished article.
Okay, all right, okay, great, very good point. Maybe Mr. Nazrul, you want to add something on it?
The first question on digital readiness, one thing, I mean, this is my thought, and I'm thinking that we must not be misguided by using the social media and digital skills. And sometimes you feel that you're using social media 12, 13 hours a day, and then you feel that you are good at digital. No, because you are just merely a user. But if you are able to use the social media to create a good content, for example, I mean that's different, because basically you put your thinking cap into it, and then you create a very good content. You develop your analytical skill along it, and you are able to articulate your idea into the social media content. So that's different. So you need to be very clear about it. Being a user and also optimizing the usage of social media. That's the first thing. And then
So
secondly,
Mr. Nazrul, meaning that we have to differentiate digital user versus digital skill. That's what you
yeah,
mean?
I would say that,
Alright,
I mean,
alright.
using it and having a skill at it is two different
It's two
things.
different thing, right? So
Two
I think
different things.
yeah, alright. It's a very
But I
good
would
point.
say that it's a good thing actually. Only if we optimize, I mean, how we are using it. I mean, just like Ryan said just now, in LinkedIn it's totally different, because you are like, I mean, the parameters has been drawn. You know that you must be professional. But what you are not aware is that actually, regardless of which social media platform that you are using, it is you. I mean, you cannot segregate yourself on LinkedIn, and then you become a different person on FB and become different person on Instagram
It's all
or
about you.
Twitter.
It's all about you, right? It's all about
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
basically what I'm saying is that what you do in, I mean, from employer's perspective, what you do in anything is what you do in everything. So be careful about it, because I've seen cases also where your career growth basically affected just because of this social media thing. Is huge. As much as we are saying that it's just a social media, but it's not. So that's how actually employers is reading it. And even like Ryan said just now, when you are, I mean, not necessarily when we are also advocating the usage of LinkedIn, Ryan, together with people like Muihan, for example, on how actually you want to use LinkedIn actually to leverage the platform, so that these people can be breached to potential employers. So what we are advocating is actually, when you want, I mean, your comment on LinkedIn, for example, reflect who you are. For example, if you agree with everything, means that you will be, I mean, people will see you as this guy is agreeable with everything. But maybe you need to also disagree with something, just to show that you can actually disagree, but in a very I would say that in a very diplomatic or very apt way of telling the people that you disagree with that person. So it's important, because how you do it on social media is going to be reflected at your workplace. So I believe future employers, you don't want everyone, you don't want your employee to be agreeable all the time with you, because what's the point of hiring people, because they are not able to add value to you. But you also don't want people who will disagree with everything, and then after that not able actually to say it in a polite, in a proper way, and provide a solution to the disagreement. So employers will definitely assess this via your social media. So you need to be very careful about it.
Kita nak tanya founder, nak tanya founder Mr. Irwan. Have you dwell with this?
Yeah, apa nama ni? Just to add on to Nazrul, what Nazrul said lah. I interviewed this person a few years back. They had the same interests as me. They watched the same films as me. They read the same books as me. Of course, I'm not going to hire that person, because I want another voice. I don't want, a copy of me, because I'm me already. I'm in the company. So you need to be, you need to be well read and all those things. Yes, you can. I welcome disagreements. I welcome people who question me, but do it intellectually. Don't do it emotionally. Don't say markah hijau. Don't be emotional. Don't be a diva, because nobody likes the divas. Working in the company. So, it's dangerous. It's a good thing for us, because I can check if I want to hire this person, and I look at their social platform, and they're a diva there, and they're starting fires because of for no reason. Then I'm not going to hire that person, because we have a company, we have people already working there. I don't want to disrupt that dynamic that's already in the company. So you have to be careful. What you say. Don't be emotional. You can disagree, but do it smartly lah.
Yeah, we need to they need to deal with it smartly, because of what? Because of everything that you put on the net is actually become a digital footprint.
Yeah.
So easily you type your name and everything will come out. So you cannot hide anywhere. So the one question from our audience, all right. Some of the graduate feel not confident, all right. They already portray everything in their resume, in their CV, in their portfolio, but everything looks very nice and very good, but somehow they are not confident. And how, is it a biggest issue for most of the fresh graduates? They are not confident. They're not able to portray themselves in a good way. So
Can I answer that first? Yeah.
yes, can.
Okay. You are studying whatever you study in university. I didn't study that thing. If I can do it, you're much smarter than me. You can do it. So you need to be more confident. I can share you a story that I went to this workshop. It's a film workshop in Luang Prabang. My mentor was Oscar winner, two-time Oscar winner, producer of Shrek, Aaron Warner. So he was mentoring us on our film project. So I was writing my Act 1, my Act 2, and I couldn't figure out my Act 3, because I'm not that smart. So I said to Aaron, help a bro out here. I can't figure out my Act 3. And Aaron read my Act 1, read my Act 2, and he said, okay. Then he took out his laptop, and then he opened his film that he was working on. And then he showed me his Act 1 and his Act 2, and he did not know how to finish his Act 3. So this is Oscar winner, two-time Oscar winner, who's won Oscar for Shrek, and his problem is the same as my problem. So you don't be, you have to be confident of what you are. The only difference between me and Aaron is Aaron's based in Hollywood. He has budget of 100 million USDs to play around with. My playground is Malaysia. My playground is Southeast Asia. My budget is way lesser, but same problems. So you have to be confident and know that you're not inferior to people. You have to be smart. You work hard, and you'll reach that level.
All right, maybe anyone, Irwan, sorry, Mr. Nazrul or Mr. Ryan, you want to top up on that?
I just want to say, for me, simple. That's why we always advocate on having a growth mindset. So I mean, it's truly interrelated with your confidence level, because why you feel, I mean, the reason why you feel not confident is because you feel that you are not up to the level that people expect. The moment you tweak it that you are still work in progress, and even if you don't know about a certain thing, you are ever willing to improve yourself and upskill yourself to the level that it is expected on you. I mean, that's how actually, even for us professionals, that's how we operate, and that's how actually we survive. Having a growth mindset, we need not to know everything, because the moment that you feel that you need to know everything, that's where your confidence level will drop. So even approaching this panel session, for example, if I'm approaching this panel session with a thought that, oh, I need to answer everything perfectly, and knowing all the answers with all the figures, everything, then definitely I won't be confident entering this panel session. But if you approach this, never mind. I mean, this is a good platform, not only for me to share what I know, it's also for me to learn from the other panelists and the viewers from their question is totally different thing. So I will always say that to our student, and I will always say that even myself, with my working experience, there are a lot of other things that I do not know. So we are just the same. Yep.
We just the same, but how we handle it is a different, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How you tweak it.
How yeah. Mr. Ryan, you want to add something?
I totally agree with Nazrul there. I think, like I said, we are never the finished article. If you understand that you are a work in progress, there are, you see, I came across this saying, I can't remember who said that, definitely someone much smarter than me. He said that you are only stupid if you think that you have known everything. You are smart if you know that there's a lot of other things that you do not know, right? So for me, it's okay to say that you don't know, but one of the most powerful words that you can tell yourself, trick your mind, is that I don't know yet. Yet is a powerful. So I do not know this thing today, but I know that this is my learning gap. I go and learn this. In the future, I know this, and I'll be a better person than who I am today. So yet, use that and tell yourself that you always have to be learning. For students who feel that they have actually put in all the credentials on their LinkedIn profile, for example, but they are still not confident, one of the easiest steps or tips that I can tell them is that get a sounding board. Get someone whom you can trust to give an owner's opinion, to look at your LinkedIn profile and give a comment on what they think are missing or how good they think it is. Because sometimes we can be delusional juga kan. So maybe I think that I have a A plus profile, but maybe someone else say, maybe I asked year one to look at my profile, he said, no lah. Actually yours at best, maybe it's just B. So get someone, it can be your mentor, it can be someone who's in the industry. It's best if, let's say, you can get people who are have seen a lot of profiles like Irwan or maybe Nazrul to get them to get their views on how good you think your profile is. With that, if they think that your profile is really good, then you can be confident. If they say that there are things that you need to improve that you can edit, then you know that how you can make your profile better. Then you gain confidence from there.
Okay. Against to you, Ryan. How can the university leverage the portfolio in boosting the employability rates because of, especially in the post-pandemic perspective, right? So meaning that how can we really utilize all of what we call the opportunity that we have to make sure that yes, we know that after they complete their study, of course, yes, we need all of our students get employed. All right, so maybe they're self-employed or maybe they're working with other people. So how can the university boosting on that particular of things? So maybe you have a trick or tips to help the university on it.
Yes, actually, we have. So we have been working with universities, not just in Malaysia, but in this region and around the world as well. In fact, 58% of the top QS ranked universities are working with us to improve student outcomes. And we are working with them to identify just 3 key simple areas. Number 1 is to identify whether there's gap in existing curriculum or not. Because based on LinkedIn data, you will know that what are the in-demand skills, what are the fastest growing skills for each industry or job title. And from there, let's say katakanlah for computer science, you know exactly that, okay, these are the new skills based on the data from LinkedIn. However, it's not existing in my curriculum yet. So will this be new skills that I can, or new program that I can introduce in my curriculum? So that's step number 1. Knowing what is the landscape, based on the data that you have, improve curriculum. Secondly, provide students with the learning opportunity. It can be LinkedIn learning, it can be any other online learning courses to supplement the curriculum on the campus. Because especially today, if let's say COVID has disrupted some sort of on-campus learning, they can still learn on their mobile phone, on their laptop when they're at home, or if they download it, they can still learn offline as well. So allow them to have the data on what they should learn, and at the same time recommend the right courses for them to learn accordingly. And last but not least, this is where the data will come in again to inform the university on where are the open jobs that are available. So let's say, for example, I can show you a quick screenshot on that, which I have shared with.
Okay, no problem, please. All right.
So I'm gonna go to, okay, this one. So, sorry, let me just find the right one.
But while waiting, Ryan, so I hope that every of the participant from the YouTube, um, please don't mind to subscribe our page, all right, our channel, all right, and even like and also turn on the notification because of inshallah every month we have a lot of topic and also webinar. Um will be organized by our division. So I hope that every each of you ringan-ringankan tangan lah untuk turn on apa to like the channel, and also if you have a question, please don't hesitate, just use the chat room and insyaallah saya akan cuba sampaikan soalan-soalan tersebut kepada all the panelists. Alright. Okay, Ryan.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Shamsul. So this is what I was saying just now. First, to inform curriculum on the real-time market insights. Okay, only with that we know exactly where are the gaps in the curriculum for universities. And then secondly, provide them with upskilling opportunities to close the skills gap on demand. And then advise them on where are the open jobs that are available, which companies are hiring in which particular cities, KL, JB, Penang, Sabah, Sarawak, for example. And then even after graduation, they can still track where are the alumni currently working, what are their job title, which industries are there. So this allows us to really have a more holistic journey like this. For example, on LinkedIn, you'll be able to tell like what are the in-demand digital tech roles, let's say software developer. Okay, and then for software developer, we can also tell what are the fastest growing hard skills that is required by the industry. Let's say REST API, Docker products, React.js. Straight away, you can then recommend the right learning courses for them in terms of learning REST API, Docker products, and React.js. And that will make your students more complete and have all the necessary skills to make them more employable as well. So for universities, it's always important to have a comprehensive set of data. And I think UITM, the benefit of being UITM is that you are actually the largest university in Malaysia based on LinkedIn data. I think as of today, you have about 200,000+ alumni listed on LinkedIn. So university can use this data to understand where are the career trajectory, what are the skills gap, how we can help students to land their dream job once they're ready to help increase the GE rate.
Is it possible for me to get the data and at least can help my university to address on certain issue, or how to get it?
So it's actually through LinkedIn solution, which I think TalentCorp is using that as well. We call it LinkedIn Talent Insights. So definitely we can share more with you after this call, and then let's schedule a call together. I think we would love to speak to UITM, being the largest university in Malaysia based on the student number.
Interesting. Look forward. All right. So I think that this data is very important, right? To lead us, to give us some kind of indication on how we can address in our curriculum. Mr. Nazrul, you want to top up something on it? Saya tu tunggu-tunggu ni the next Encik Nazrul ni. Alright.
Nak share boleh
Boleh juga Encik Nazrul, share je. Okay je.
Boleh.
Alright.
So basically, this is the big picture of mynext. You know, one of the issue that we have in the country when we started mynext was that there's no single platform for talent data repository, and that's how it started. But it started off as a profiling tool way back in circa 2017, 2018. But it has evolved. We work closely with all universities. Of course, the largest beneficiaries are naturally UiTM. And also now we are working closely with all IPTS also. So the whole idea is actually to capture the supply data points and then profile the students based on their catalyst profiling. And then after that, trying to use that input for them to develop their career pathway. But we started from the supply side. Now we are moving into the demand side. But our focus is more from the starting school, means that from the student when they enter the universities up to the level where they are doing their internship. Eventually, after they go for employment, there are a lot of other job portals. We won't go into that. Even government, we have My Future Job, for example, to address that. But we focus on getting them ready for the industry with the final touch using the internship platform. So that's the whole idea of it. And by doing this, whenever an investor would like to come into to our country, the first question that they will ask is not so much about the infrastructure, because they know to a certain extent Malaysia can provide that infrastructure. But the question will be whether we have the talent pool for the operation, whether we have enough talent pool or suitable talent pool for them actually to optimize their operation in Malaysia. And unfortunately, we do not have a single data point where we can say that, okay, for example, if you like to open a factory in Batu Kawan, for example, do we have can we produce about 3,000 engineers, manufacturing engineers surrounding this region in 3 years time? If we are to come in Malaysia, invest certain billion of investment, and then can you provide the data point? We struggle with that actually. We struggle with that because I mean it requires us actually for them to go to universities, talk to them and understand what the supply, and then after that, then only we can supply. If only that this can be done analytically. I know that we can also get some sort of input from LinkedIn when Ryan mentioned about the insights. But again, we need a very localized data. We need localized data up to the level of that particular region, for example. So that's the reason why we go into this next platform. And that's also the reason why we have been working closely with academia. After that, we are now in the phase of integrating companies into the system, because at the same time, we are also, TalentCorp is also under our subsidiary, a company called mynext. Basically, this is our subsidiary who manage the approval of employment pass for expatriates. There are already about 18,000 companies in that platform. And eventually, this company will be integrated into mynext so that they can hire intern via mynext. So we already have about 18,000 data points in our company. And then as of now, for the student, we have about 150,000 data points. Not as rich as LinkedIn, but it's a localized data point based on their profile. So basically, I would say that the data that we have on LinkedIn together with the data that we have on mynext is complementary. So the whole idea is actually to move into the demand space. And then that's why we want to move into this 3 module. mynext student has been there for 3 years, basically to ensure they are able to discover their profiling competencies via the Catalyst profiling tool. Next is the company, actually for us actually to bring the company on board, and they are able actually to discover the talent pool via this mynext platform and become an SIP endorsed companies. This is different from a normal job matching portal or what, because we are facilitating the employers using the SIP incentive. So basically, when you hire intern via mynext, you will also be an endorsed SIP company, and you can get double tax incentive when you file your tax filing. So that's under mynext company. And the final one is a mynext internship. This is where actually you are able to discover some internship possibilities and apply for your desired program. So this is a very good data point for the government, for the policymakers, because as I mentioned earlier, that we are going to assess 360, means that we'll get the intern to assess the companies and the company to assess the students. So by doing that, we are able to identify the gaps earlier before they even graduated. So mean that usually they will do their internship in their 3rd or final year. So we are able to capture that data point, and that data point will be shared across to all institutions and also MOHI and other ministries who have institutions under them, so that you can identify, you can use this data point for your curriculum review, for example, because you have identified these are the gaps highlighted by the employers early on while they are doing internship. And in addition to that, it's also some sort of control mechanism for us actually to know that what or who are the best employers who are providing best internship in Malaysia, and what will be the best practices of internship in Malaysia. So basically, that's the whole idea of it, the Shamsul. And what we'll do next is actually we are going to launch this three module eventually, inshallah, in September or August, soonest, but most likely be in September.
All right. So your event on September and August, is it you will invite all the university to join the event, or
Definitely.
who you
Because I
who you
mean
put me on
all
the
the
list?
institutions are all I mean our key stakeholders, because this
Yeah.
won't work without the participation of institutions,
Yeah.
because
I
we
see
feel,
a lot of, yeah. I see a lot of the potential here that we can grab as a university. I think that from what you share here is not only helping us on developing a very good curriculum, but also you channel us to have a very proper in terms of picking up the internship program, whatnot. So I think that it's such a wonderful thing that I think that the university need to know about this. And even I
yeah.
think that I very interested with Mr. Ryan because of you have all the data, all the insight, and I think that if we can use all of this data, and I sure that we can bridge the gap between the university and also the industry. All right. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, just to share, last time when the companies, I mean, if the company would like to be an SIP endorsed companies, they need to submit an internship framework. But last time it was a generic internship framework for that particular company, means that one size fits all. But moving forward, what we'll get is actually they will need to actually to submit internship framework for each of the job title that they want to place on mynext. So basically, there will be a lot of data and a lot of input we can capture. What will be the best framework of internship that being practiced in the market, and how we can improve it further. Okay.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Mr. Irwan, nak tanya sikit Mr. Irwan, because of you are the founder, you also the boss, you are the person who are looking at your workers and whatnot. So I think that when it comes into assessing who is the best fit for your as your staff, maybe you have certain criteria that you're looking at. Maybe you have your own preference. And I think that most of the students out there, they want to know. Maybe you can share your experience on it.
The criteria for joining us as a company, R&D studio, is your portfolio has to be awesome. You don't send me your first year portfolio, you know, the exercises that you did in class in first year, and put it right in front of your portfolio, because when you're in your first year is bad, you know, your work is not that great. So if I see that, and you know, I already make a judgment on you. So you put your best pieces right in front of the portfolio. So if your portfolio is good, it looks interesting, and you know, I have more questions, then we'll call you for an interview. And that interview is to see your critical thinking. I wouldn't really ask, you know, your results and all those things, because you know that's not interesting. I will ask you, what's your favorite movie? And you'll say something. You say Harry Potter, and then ask you, how do you improve Harry Potter? So if you can't answer that question, then you know, you're not thinking hard
It was
enough.
a very tricky question.
Yeah, that's how we differentiate
Yeah.
the average and the best people.
But somehow, Mr. Irwan,
Better
yeah.
better to answer lousy movie then. Easy to improve.
I like scenario. Why do you like scenario?
And where you can improve easily,
How do you can
easily.
improve scenario?
Yeah. Because of why? Because of maybe we have some kind of mindset that we want to show more on volume instead of quality. How do you see this,
Oh yeah,
Mr. Irwan?
we're a small company, but we hire the best people. You know, we have high aspirations. We want to compete in the global stage. So to compete in the global stage, you need to have the best people, and you know, to differentiate the best people from the average people, then you know, then we need to ask all these hard questions. If you can't answer all these hard questions, then you know, then you're not fit to us, but you may be a fit to other companies. And it's a you know, now I already gave the soalan bocor. So if you ever come to interview with me, then I'll ask you a new question lah. So you know, I'm going to change that question.
Sorry. Okay. Mr. Ryan, when I saw you at LinkedIn, you have what we call your premium account. All right. And even I think that you have some of the module that we can use to enhance some sort of micro credential, I think. So maybe you can explain to us, and I think that these are some opportunity there that how does the student can upskills and reskill themselves, and maybe you can give us some kind of clarification on that.
Yeah, sure. So, first of all, my LinkedIn Premium was not subscribed by myself. As a LinkedIn employee, I got it for free. So, thankfully for that. But having said that, for people who have invested in LinkedIn Premium, I think there are a few benefits to that. Okay. Number one is that you will have applicant insights. So, if you want to apply to a job, it will tells you like how many people have applied, what are their qualifications, what are their job titles, so that at least you know how you rank across all these applicants, and then you know roughly how high is your chance. And it also tells you that these are the jobs that you will have a highest percentage of being employed because you are ranked in the top 1 or top 10% based on your profile. So at the same time, I think one of the biggest values of it is that you will have access to LinkedIn Learning. Okay, because LinkedIn Learning for me is a very useful tool. That's not because I'm in LinkedIn and I masuk bakul angkat sendiri, ya, not because of that, but because I feel that today's age we are always learning, and to be honest, I'm also lazy sometimes, and I do not have a lot of time dedicated to learning. But I know that I have to learn something every day. So what I've done is that I do not spend 30 minutes or 1 hour learning, but I dedicate at least 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And that's when I was doing something mundane. For example, okay lah, now everyone knows that every morning when I brush my teeth, I will put my phone there and I play LinkedIn Learning video and I learn something for 5 to 10 minutes. And that's a new knowledge and a new micro skills that I learn every day. Because every day, if you learn something, that means you improve 1%, right? So you be a better person than who you were yesterday. So that's one of the key things that I would highly recommend for students who have LinkedIn Premium access to go to LinkedIn Learning and learn as much as you can. Of course, the subscription for that is not cheap, to be honest, because I think for LinkedIn Learning, the yearly subscription is about $299 US. Kalau kita convert to ringgit, that's about 1,000 plus.
1,000
Tetapi
plus, yes.
I think that is definitely something that we can discuss with UITM, because what universities have done is that they subscribe on behalf of the student. And when you subscribe on behalf of student, we can bring the cost down to as low as maybe less than 10 USD, $5, USD $10, and that make it really affordable, allow the student to have access to all these courses there. I can share with you what are some of the courses that are available
Please,
there.
Ryan, I think that most of us interested to know it. For your information, right, before your share your screen, is actually I use LinkedIn to connect all the academic professional to collect all the data. So, and surprisingly, most of them is give me a very quick response, and I easily can get the data. So I think that my previous experience, I get connected almost 200 academic expert, and I get all the data from the 200 of them. So it's very helpful. That's the reason why I think that the LinkedIn give me some kind of I mean, meaning that I trust this brand. I mean, so
Yeah.
and I very thankful the LinkedIn provide that kind of what services and whatnot. All right.
Thanks. It's great to hear that, because I think a lot of people they do not know that LinkedIn we also have a learning component.
Yeah.
It's actually one of our most useful component. So what we wanted to do when we designed the platform is that we want, of course, world-class content. Tetapi today, if you look at the industry, there's so many good contents out there. And we have too many contents until people are bored of it. People do not know what they wish to learn. That's why we feel that it's important to have an engaging learner experience also. So why people today are so interested in Netflix? It's about when you go on Netflix, Netflix will give you the recommendation based on your viewing behavior. Their AI will already know what you're interested to learn, what you're interested to view, and then they will give you the right movies that they think you'll be interested. Same goes for LinkedIn Learning. That's what we are doing. Everyone, every individual, when you're going onto the LinkedIn, you will see different recommendation. That's number one. And then after that, we will also have strategic insights to inform like how many hours have you learned, what are the skills that you have acquired, etc. And I think LinkedIn Learning is useful because it gives you a different element compared to what you're learning in campus. Because in campus, you are learning more on academic. So in LinkedIn, we also have academic courses, but it's being taught by industry professionals like renowned founders, CEOs, best-selling authors, Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, for example. So they're in there to share their experiences and teach you on their subject matter experts. And this is where they can add another layer of knowledge from there. In terms of how students can use it, is that, of course, they can learn what are trending, what are relevant. So for example, here you can see that these are the courses that are most liked by your connection, so that you know that your friends are learning this. And then it's related to the course that you have watched. So this one, actually, the AI identified based on my learning behavior. These are the courses that will be most relevant to me, and also based on my LinkedIn profile as well. And because I have organizational leadership on my LinkedIn profile, it also tells me that these are the courses that will be most relevant to me to help me to upskill in that area. And then because we do not want to learn alone, we do not want to learn in silo, we want to learn within a community, we can also allow them to join learning groups so that they can learn within the larger community, 700 million members on LinkedIn, exchange knowledge, not just within UiTM, but also with other Malaysians or people outside of Malaysia as well. And then what it allows them to also do is to share maybe some of the videos that they think are interesting to their LinkedIn connection, and also to display. This is one of the more important things, to display their certificate of completion, which would then be part of their LinkedIn e-portfolio or profile, so that employers will know that they have learned these courses and they have actually completed this. So what are some of the courses that we have covered on LinkedIn? We have 16,000 courses, and we produce them in our own studio in California, right? And we only use all real-time industry subject matter experts. We do not use actor. So there are courses on leadership and management, the business courses, and then functional roles like sales, marketing, HR, finance, accounting, technology and software engineering, data science, web design, IT, cybersecurity, and of course the soft skills and business software like communications, decision making, business software, Mac OS, Office, etc. Even not just for students, across campus, it can be used by academics and also for employers as well. Because we also have courses for each of the deans. We also have courses for student service department, teaching how to do resume writing, job interviewing, even for HR, communication leadership, career center, how to manage your career, mentoring, soft skills, etc., and even for the IT department. So these are some of the things that is covered on LinkedIn Learning, and that
Ryan, we are losing you. Low bandwidth, I guess. Baru nak tutup dia. Dia pun tutup sekali. Low bandwidth.
Singapore internet.
All right. So, Nazrul, do you have something you want to add? Maybe what is going to be happen? Maybe around 5 to 10 years ahead.
Now, 5 to 10 years is too long. I would say that it's too long.
So what is the shortest time?
You can't even predict what will happen in the next 3 months.
Yeah, correct.
But by the way, again, just like
But your framework is actually how do you expect the framework to be completed? Is it maybe around 5 years, 3 years ahead, or
which one? What?
the bigger framework that you show to us before?
Basically we are looking. It's work in progress. I mean, and we are targeting that we are going to complete it by end of next year. The whole module. And of course, even then we still keep our fingers crossed that it's going to change, because I mean we need to reflect the changes happening in the market, and we need to be agile. As much as we are asking talent to be agile, we also need to be agile. So anyhow, we'll keep the institution updated of the progress.
It's very challenging to be agile because you need to be ready all the time, right? So you have to be reflective for every single changes, and I think that is the biggest job for TalentCorp to cater all of these things. So for your unit, for example, how many how many department members that you have, and of and how does you do all of this? I think it's quite a huge job and huge task to do, right?
Basically, TalentCorp is not huge. In total, even TalentCorp, for TalentCorp, without taking into consideration our subsidiary, mynext,
Yeah.
for TalentCorp, it's just about 60 people.
Right.
And yeah, 60. And for my team focusing on graduates, we have about 14 among the bigger business unit. And apart from that, I'm also leading industry partnership. We have another 7. But
Yeah.
we don't go into number because, of course, resource wise, I mean,
Yeah.
it's never enough. But what we have is actually we work closely with all the collaborators.
All right.
Plus, we build strong connection with with the employers, the industry. Because at the end of the day, whatever we want to do in TalentCorp, it must be demand driven.
Yep, correct.
So
Demand
as much
driven.
as we are talking about employability, it's not so much from the supply side, but it's more on what is actually expected from the people who want to hire our graduates. So that's why we are capturing a lot of data points, a lot of input from our industry partners to ensure that this input can be channeled to the right people, whether it's academia, whether it's MOHI or JPT, for us actually to try actually to reduce the gap, basically the mismatch. I would say that the gap will always be there, but so long that we are working towards reducing the gap, then we are on the right track.
All right. I have one more last question. The skill set and expected salary. So is it challenging to answer this question, Mr. Irwan?
For me, easy je this question. We don't have that much money. But what we do have is opportunities to work with the best people and the best clients. Yeah. So I upfront I always tell people that, you know, if you want the best salaries, you know, you want to be rich, you don't work for us. But if you want to work on interesting projects, cool projects, yes, come work with us.
How do you see this on the perspective of LinkedIn or TalentCorp? Skill set and also the expected salaries.
So from TalentCorp perspective, I mean, we've seen cases. I mean, overall, we know what is the average salary. Basically, we have a lot of report sharing about this salary band. But at the same time, we also we have seen cases where actually with the right skill set, and especially related to digital, that will I mean, if you have a certain digital skill, that will definitely accelerate your salary beyond the normal starting salary for graduates. So yeah, I would say that if you are able to offer something not able to be offered by other candidates, that's where actually you can demand your salary. So yeah, I would say that to all fresh graduates, depends on how you position yourself, because I mean, frankly speaking, now it's employers market. Now it's employers market because I mean, basically the supply is more than the demand, especially on the high salary jobs.
Right.
So because of that, how you position yourself is very, very important. How you differentiate yourself from other candidates is very important. And if you are able to show that you are able to basically to provide the organization with something that scarcely found in the market, that's where actually you can demand your salary.
So maybe Mr. Raya, you want to add on it?
Yeah, so salary data has been one of the top wish lists of our clients, because they wish to know, like, you know, do we have salary data, since we have so many data, right? So I think about one year back, we piloted this in our Talent Insights, and we launched this in US and also in Europe, where we offer people the opportunity for them to share their salary data, and then for them to also be able to view other people's salary data on an aggregated basis, not on an individual basis, of course, so that you will roughly know that if I apply for this job in, let's say, Kuala Lumpur, this will be roughly the salary range. But I think there has been challenges as well in terms of validating some of this data, and also because of the compensation data consists of many different components. It can be the basic salary, the variable income as well, for example. So we have decided to sort of put a pause to this, fine tune a bit before we relaunch that again. And hopefully in the future, we will be able to see that on LinkedIn. But I wanted to add on to what Nazrul has shared just now. I think it is important to have a longer term mindset, because in today's market is an employer's market. So you do not have much of a choice. But having said that, you still have control over your own destiny. If you understand that today's market is quite competitive and your only challenges is to get employed, be it with a lower salary, maybe you get a job first. It can be a learning experience for you, right? You get all the necessary skills. But if you have a longer term mindset, that's when you will tell yourself that I should learn and equip myself with more skills every day. And once you have more skills and once you have a job and as you learn along the way, that's when you can potentially also move upward, whether in your company or outside of your company. And that's when you can get the sort of compensation that you are wishing for, right? So it is a matter of not just having the short-sightedness, but having the longer term mindset and also the lifelong learning mindset as well, so that you know that I should gain as much skills and knowledge as possible, differentiate myself, tell my story through my e-portfolio. What is my unique story? How I can differentiate myself from other people so that you make yourself even more valuable to your future employer.
Great. So great because of too many things we need to look at, right? So I just want to give you one more question, all right? So maybe this question is referring into the specific target people. Mr. Irwan, digital portfolio in the perspective of students. So what is your best tip for them?
The first tip will be start early. Your digital portfolio doesn't start when you graduate baru nak kumpul benda baru, nak buat benda baru, you know. It has to be a lifelong thing. So when you know, even when you're a student, you know, when you're in sekolah menengah, you know that you want to be in the creative industry, start doing your sketches, start doing your drawing, start doing, you know, all those things, so that when the time comes, you have a lot of things to show. You have a variety of things to show. I just share with you that my daughter, she's 17. She just applied to a top university in UK, and they needed a portfolio for her undergraduate. So because she had, you know, because we've been like steadily working on her work since she was like 13 years old. So she had a lot of things to show, and she could pick and choose the best pieces to show to the university to get a place. And you know, and she got a place. She got a conditional offer from UCL. If we had waited, after her exams, or then only she, start drawing and everything, then I don't think she will have a good portfolio to show. So start early and do a variety of things, but don't put the same things, 20 times. If you draw a K-pop figure and you put 20 of those, no, that's wasting my time,
Yeah,
just put the,
one is enough, right? One is enough.
yeah, three bags, that's enough. And then I want to see something else. Yeah. If don't be repetitious in your portfolio. That would be my best thing. So masuk university aja dah start thinking about portfolio.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Ryan, maybe you have some kind of why the lecturers need to use LinkedIn and let them to understand this, because of I think that we should use the LinkedIn what we call dengan sebaik-baiknya, because of the platform is there. So maybe your last word on LinkedIn. All right.
So I think the thing about LinkedIn is that it's an inclusive platform, right? People have some sort of an impression that LinkedIn only caters to professionals, only cater to people who are white collar workers, so to speak, highly skilled workers, but it's not true. The reason why I'm saying that is that, just for example, this past 1 year, we have seen a lot of people get retrenched, and a lot of them are frontline workers who are from retail. And LinkedIn has seen a lot of people who have been looking for jobs on the platform, And we have also seen employers who are hiring a lot of people on that front as well. And when we are talking about outside of the employment circle, it's actually a place for people to tell their personal branding story, for people to connect, and for people to network, and for people to learn as well. So I think when we look at the context of why should academics be on LinkedIn, is actually important because it helps them to build their personal branding, right? Doesn't matter you're professional or you're academics, you still have your personal branding, and that's where you can also showcase your perhaps your research, what you have done in the universities and stuff like that, to build your own credibility. And if you look at the bigger picture, it actually helps to elevate the university's reputation as well, because even though today on LinkedIn, if you go on LinkedIn, you look at the Stanfords of the world, or maybe the Oxfords of the world, they still have a very active representation of academics on LinkedIn. The reason why is because they know that even though I'm already so well known, I have to continue to do this because it will only help me to expand the brand association, also the brand perception. And bear in mind, always when we talk about universities, one of the top things that we think about is always the QS ranking criteria. I know that one of the pillars in QS ranking criteria is employer reputation, academic reputation. And that is how you can further elevate that by having academics as the ambassador of the universities alongside the students as well. So if you have successful students on LinkedIn, feature them. If you have certain academics who have made breakthrough in their own field, feature them as well and encourage them to be vocal. And that's where you can also share their personal piece or articles on LinkedIn on the university's page. I think there's a lot of things that can be done. And of course, having said that, we also have a lot of universities, lecturers, and students who are on LinkedIn Learning to learn, which is on through LinkedIn Learning, like what I mentioned just now.
Right, thank you, Mr. Ryan. So last word from Mr. Nazrul. How can the program developer or course developer can use the data from the TalentCorp, and what is your advice for them? So I think that what kind of help that you can assist for the program developer or course developer to ensure that the skill set and the program offered is really aligned with the critical occupational list. So maybe some take from you, Mr. Nazrul.
Yeah, we'll start with critical occupation list. There are a lot of input that you can capture from COL. And then from there, even we are ever willing actually to play a role in bridging you with key industry stakeholders. We have done a number of industry academia collaboration workshop where we gather industry people together with academia who are developing curriculum or reviewing their curriculum, sitting together in a room to ensure that the curriculum developed is industry driven. So we'll be more than happy to do this. And I mean, as much as I'm saying that the COL will be the foundation, but it's not limited to that. We can get direct input from the horse's mouth. We can invite people like Irwan, for example, to provide direct input in the creative industry, for example. So these are
Absolutely,
the people that we will work closely together with. Yep.
So very interesting. I think that three of you have your own strength, and I think that we should complement each other. And I hope that this is not our first what we call is our first engagement. Maybe sooner or later we can have more, and I think that is very fruitful because of you give a lot of insight for us. And I think that you give us a lot of information on the perspective of student, on the perspective of lecturers, and even on the perspective of university and in the perspective of the employer. So I think that I would like to thank to Mr. Irwan, Mr. Nazrul, and also Mr. Ryan for your time, for your commitment to be here with us. And also I would like to thank to all the participants from YouTube because of you keep posting your questions. We really appreciate it. And before we end the session, I would like to say thanks to all and everyone. And jangan lupa ringan-ringankan tangan untuk untuk like this channel and also like this event, and also turn on the bell notification because of we provide you a lot of content for future. And insyaAllah, and I hope that each of you jangan lupa untuk isi kehadiran masing-masing. Dan insyaAllah, I think that this is the end of the program. Thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much. And sampai jumpa lagi. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and afternoon to all. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Right.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Yep.